And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Well, I'll tell you what Kratz says.
Perfect.
Hey, what's up? It's FT. Braun, AJ, Kratz. All right,
One down a mic, down a hearing aid, apparently.
I hear.
Well, that's great.
We'll flip it in a sec. I have a question for you, and then we'll get into the trade news from the weekend. But I knew you'd like this because, you missed a few things on Friday. We had quite a few moves. We'll get to them later on and get AJ's take. But if you're trying to reach a player in baseball, and you're a current player in baseball, and you're someone of your caliber, or someone of even higher caliber, you're a legendary home run setting monster, whatever, okay? And I'm not just pinpointing it on one player, but my point is, if you're an all-star, right?
Yeah.
Like you, and you want to reach someone, and they would take your phone call, but they switch their
They would
number.
always take your phone call.
They don't always take your phone call. Is that what you're saying?
They do.
They will take your phone call. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
there's only been one person that didn't take a phone call.
Who?
Randy Johnson.
Okay. So you knew that at that point. Hey, this guy's not taking people's phone calls.
No, I didn't know that. I called. I tried to get a hold of him.
Oh, you tried to get a hold of him. He rejected.
Told me basically to go kick rocks because,
gotcha.
He's Randy Johnson and big giant photographer person that needs to just stop pretending.
Well, some people were really into this story. It got a lot of play on Friday when we spoke about it. And some people were like, oh, this is stupid or what. I'm like, it's not stupid. This is exactly the kind of stuff our show is for because we are debunking conspiracy theories. Don't tell me you changed your number and so-and-so VIP can't get a hold of you, If Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge want to give a phone call to Juan Soto, they can. Obviously, I had Yankee fans coming back at me. Well, Soto should have called them.
They could have got a hold of him.
Freaking kidding me?
They could have got a hold of him.
Wait, Soto should have called them?
No.
Help me out here.
No. Oh, if they would have wanted to talk to him, they could have got a hold of him.
Done. That's it.
It's simple. If there's someone in baseball that I need to get a hold of, there is one of a million people I can call to get a hold of somebody. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. If it's name the greatest player that's living right now, I'd probably get a hold of them if I really needed to.
In all of sports or in baseball?
I don't know about all of sports, but I could definitely make a run at it in all of sports.
Yeah. But exactly, to my point, in Major League Baseball,
in baseball,
that big of a fraternity.
If you're someone on the Yankees or you're Juan Soto, first of all, when you change, I know we're still beating on this, but if I change my number, I send out messages to my teammates and say, "Hey, I changed my number. If you need to talk to me, here is my." You do it in like tens or whatever. You're like, boom, boom, new number. And, instead he went with the new phone. Who dis? Right? Like I don't know. I mean, listen, you got your money. You clearly didn't want to go back to the Yankees. Just say, hey, I got my money. There's no reason to beat it about a phone. I don't know. Phone was funny to me, but I don't know, Kratz. Maybe I'm wrong.
You've been wrong. I don't think this is the time when you were wrong, but you've been wrong.
I've been wrong. I'm fine. I can admit it. But, I mean, I know this. If I needed to get a hold of somebody, I could get a hold of whether it was, I don't know, who was the best player when I was playing. I don't
Bonds?
know. Bonds.
You played with
I played with Bonds. So, like, if I needed to – I remember one time Justin Verlander and I were having a thing where we were screaming at each other. I was get a hit. I'd scream at him. He'd strike me out. He'd scream at me.
Yeah.
But then I got asked to invite him to a golf tournament. So I called over to him. He answered. We talked casually. He's like, okay, cool. And then after that, we kind of – I don't want to say we became friends, but we're more friends. We're definitely acquaintances now. But if you need to get a hold of somebody, you can definitely get a hold of somebody.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Let's charge the damn mound.
Charging the mound.
I had a trade over the weekend. And by the way, of course, we already covered Devin Williams' trade, the Kyle Tucker move to the Cubs. And we'll mix in some updates to what's going on with those teams, especially Houston. But for now, let's start with the Rays and the A's. So the A's are bringing over Jeffrey Springs, who costs $10.5 million. He was tied with Brandon Lau for the highest paid player on Tampa Bay coming up for the 2025 season. Now it's just Lau holding that spot. Jacob Lopez also moving over to Oakland. in exchange for Joe Boyle, who's a super talented big dude, but has not been able to locate pretty well so far in his career. Jacob Waters, Will Simpson, what I call a first-round pick. Comp A draft pick is in the 30s. To me, that's basically a first-round pick, giving Tampa 4 of the first 51 picks. But Kratz, Jeffrey Springs and Luis Severino at the top of an Oakland rotation with a pretty exciting team that has not had much consistency from their starters over the past few years.
I mean, you had said it before. He's definitely a guy that's getting up there in salary, so the Rays are going to get rid of him. Man, I really like Jeffrey Springs. I know, and I feel like he was kind of on the back burner because they had McClanahan, but man, I think it's a great get for them. But this Joe Boyle dude, whew, he throws some absolute fuel. If somebody can fix him, Dodgers, Rays, that department.
Yeah, well, Tampa Bay loves him because second half rising fastball adjustments, he was leading the charge by far. It's technically called location adjusted fastball, VAA, which I'm assuming has some vert something in it, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, he has started to figure out how to get the good rise on the fastball. Rise, it's the term.
I don't know. I mean, listen, everyone that trades with the Rays, or it's always like, oh, who'd they get back? They're going to fix it. Everybody, right? It works out sometimes, not all. It works out a lot of times, not all the time. Listen, I like this trade for the A's. They get a bona fide starter behind Severino, and then you mix him in with Sears and some of the other young guys they have. It's starting to form a nice rotation for them. The question for me is, how much more are they going to spend? We've hit on it on here where I was told, that the A's have to spend money, right, because of their new revenue sharing deal. So they kind of have been put in this position where they got to spend money. They're doing it. So give them credit for that. But they need more help, especially in that division with the Mariners, the Rangers. Obviously, the Astros are still around. So will they keep going and take the next step? Let's see. I mean, David Force said they're going to spend more opportunities, but, who's out there they can afford? That's the question.
And they said they're also looking for a third baseman. There are actually quite a few on the market. I mean, here's the thing. Is Alex Bregman signing with the A's, and are they paying him that much? No. Is Nolan Arenado waiving his no-trade clause to go to California? Yes, if it's the Dodgers. No, if it's Sacramento.
Not Sacramento.
Now let's move on. Apparently, this was from Ken Rosenthal's article. The A's asked about Alec Boehm. Philly said, sure, we'll take Mason Miller. Dave Dombrowski. David, come on. I also saw one where Boehm was in a talk with the Mariners for, they said, we'll take either Logan Gilbert or George Kirby. Dave, come on.
I also saw a thing where the 32 teams rejected a trade for Alec Boehm on Twitter.
32?
Uh-huh.
Who are the other two?
I don't know, but there's only 30, so I don't know. But it was just more of a funny thing.
Yeah.
Apparently they're asking for a lot.
Okay, so.
And then did you see Topper came out, Rob Thompson was like, we're not trading him. Well, yeah, you have to say that. You, as the manager of the team, in case he's there, you got to say, like, oh, we weren't trading him.
They're not shopping.
Meanwhile, every other insider in baseball is like, oh, Alec Boehm has been thrown out there. Alec Boehm was thrown out there. Alec Boehm was thrown out. Alec Boehm. Like, of course Topper has to say that.
Philly specialist Erik Kratz here. So, Kratz, I was listening to our buddy Jim Bowden yesterday talk about his dealings with Dave Dombrowski over the years, and he said Dave had been known in the past to just kind of throw out these lopsided offers to people, and sometimes he would get places to bite. Yeah. So he's giving it a shot, and then maybe eventually that ask comes down when we get a month or two into the off season here, right? Because it's still early off season. Maybe when it's January, things change, or we're getting close to spring training if he really does want to switch things up. But right now, those offers are frankly ridiculous. Those are hang
Dave's
up
the guy.
Phone offers.
Yeah, but then you can say, well, I've come down so far from my Mason Miller ask. So that, or maybe, hey, they really want Andrew Painter, and they're like, well, we'll give you Boehm and Mick Abel. We'll give you Boehm and Andrew Painter. Like, oh, okay. Well, now, I'd ask for the moon. He's like
Boehm and Alec and Painter for Mason Miller? For the A's?
Philly say no.
Oh.
No, Philly say no to that. Painter is.
Oh, I was like, if I'm the A's, I'm seriously thinking about that one.
Yeah.
I'm really going for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm saying that's what you come back with. If he says that, then you come back with that. You'll meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard Mason Miller, in a serious discussion.
But I
at
mean,
all
if you
this
want to throw
offseason.
Painter and another
Yeah,
bona fide big leaguer in there, and I'm the A's, I'm going to say yes to that one probably.
Andrew Painter is a highly regarded
Yeah.
prospect. But what I do think on all of this is, Kratz, that Oakland is being forced to spend. We've talked about that a lot last week, right? Otherwise, there's a grievance because they're just stealing money, basically. That's how you'd sum it up. And with that, guess what happens when you actually invest a little teeny bit into a team that's been rebuilding for a while and has some core pieces? They actually start to look okay on paper.
Yeah.
They might mess around and try to compete for a wild card spot next year. This is a team that's got some promise. Right.
And this is $10 million, 15 next year, or maybe 10 and 10, and then 15 for 27 if it's team option. So it's getting up there. I like it. The issue is we play playoffs in Sacramento. Is that good? Are we okay with that?
No, but what choice do we have?
I'm just saying we can't say all that stuff and then be like, we're totally fine with that.
I mean, we can, because I can't talk about it every day. Trust me, I'd like to. But we're going to have playoff games in minor league baseball parks, unless they switch it, right? They have the right to take a playoff game and move it to somewhere else.
They're not moving it.
They're not going to do that. That would, quote, take away the advantage as well. Anyway, let's take a break. We're going to talk to Chipper Jones about the Braves, about him. First time on the show, so we'll be right back. All right, here we are, obviously taking questions for the YouTube crowd, and also we'll take some questions that you have for Chipper Jones when we speak to him. In the meantime, I'm going to mix in some rumors that I saw from Ken's articles here during the breaks. So he mentioned Baltimore as a possibility for Dylan Cease. He said it could be
They're not doing it.
Corbin Burnes-like situation.
I don't think they'll do it. They just gave up all that for Burnes. They need to re-sign Corbin Burnes.
I agree.
That's what they should do. That should be their move. We're going to re-sign Corbin Burnes, who knows Baltimore. He played there last year, and they gave up a bunch for him. That should be the move.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And when they don't?
Then I don't know, because they should have got Crochet. They didn't. I don't think they're going to give up a bunch for Cease to just have him walk away next year.
Right. Man.
So they had Flaherty. They didn't like him. They let him go.
And the Padres are going to make it hurt if they had to get rid of Dylan Cease.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see that one happening, but if they do, it is going to be severe pain. Just letting you know. Yes, we're a little blurry, so let's reset our camera. We'll come back in 1 minute, and then we'll talk to Chipper Jones next on FT.
Uh-oh.
Chipper,
What's happening, guys? How are we?
how you doing?
Can't complain. Getting ready for this Christmas with all 7 of my boys, so it's kind of hectic around here.
Are they all
Hey,
playing
you're rich,
baseball?
dude. You're so
Yeah.
rich it doesn't even matter. Just be like, just what do you guys want? We'll just take you to the mall. Here's a gift card for like 10,000. Just get whatever y'all want, kids. I'll
Whoa.
see y'all afterwards.
Yeah, it's that's kind of what my gift list kind of consists of. I grab a envelope and throw a couple $100, and they can go get what they want.
Yeah, because you ain't making them all happy if you try to go through the list the whole time. You're like, all right, he wants this check, and then you're like, damn, the other. Oh man, just get what you want, kids.
I feel like there's a lot of repeats. Instead of going through the whole list, I'll just buy a whole bunch of one thing and throw it in a stocking for everybody. So,
Well, Chipper, obviously you were well paid during your career, but are you like, damn, I wish I was playing just a little bit later in life where the money was how it looked right now? Because, Alex Bregman, okay, third baseman's been in the game for a minute. It's not even like, Bregman. Soto's a different situation because he got called up so early on in his career. But, even looking at someone like Bregman, he's in his 30s already playing third base. He's made a lot of money, and it sounds like he might get another $200 million added to his bank account.
Yeah, it's I think all 3 of us major leaguers here probably wish we were born about 20 or 30 years later. But the fact of the matter is the price keeps going up, and these guys, they have free agency is their right, to go out there, and as long as somebody is willing to pay them what they feel is the going rate for their position, for their statistics that are on the back of their baseball card, more power to them. That's why the Players Association is one of the strongest unions in professional sports. And there's a lot of money being thrown around, but the owners are making a ton of money because baseball's putting a lot of butts in the seats.
Does this mean there will never be another player that plays on the same team because of where the prices are at? Because once you everybody wants to hit free agency, and now it's like, oh, once he hits free agency, his current team or his long-lasting team doesn't want to negotiate with him.
That's a good question. I think every player is different. I was one that kind of wanted to stay in one place and maybe take a little less so that, maybe my team could spend some money elsewhere. It's really hard to fathom that, a player is making 40 or $50 million and taking up, 20, 25, sometimes 30% of a given team's salary in a given year. When you spend that much on one person, you're going to have some holes in some other areas of your ball club. And, whether it's, roster depth or, bullpen depth, stuff like that. So to each his own. I mean, these guys are, they're, like you said, Max Fried and Bregman, this is their, first real shot at going out and seeing what the market offers them. More power to them to get what they can. I was just of the belief that, hey, we'll take a little less just so we, can assure ourselves that here in Atlanta we're staying competitive.
Would you have taken less? Did you take less? Maybe is a better question. Before in your Braves career to stay a Brave, did you take a deal that, hey, I want to bring back Andrew or I want to bring back Smoltz and Maddox and Glavine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to take less in order to help the team do that?
Well, I was lucky that I never got to a spring training of a free agent year that I wasn't extended. So I guess the logic behind the team wanting to extend me was to not let me get to free agency where I probably could have made a little more money. The fact of the matter is that, I'm a firm believer that the grass is not always greener on the other side. I feel like whoever leaves the Braves clubhouse for free agency is not coming back because it's, once you're courted by all the pretty girls in free agency, meaning big market teams, and guys realize how much more money they can make in some of these big market teams, the Braves cannot compete probably 9 times out of 10 with the big market clubs once our guys leave the clubhouse. So once they leave the clubhouse, I pretty much have them marked off as going somewhere else. So I did not want to even have that temptation. I had Bobby Cox, I had John Sherholtz, I had a great roster throughout my whole career. I knew we were going to be competitive, and I would have done anything, especially take a little less money to assure my future and that we were going to be competitive here in Atlanta. So to answer your question, probably I don't know that for a fact, but I probably took less than I would have made on the free agent market.
Was there a team, though? Come on, be honest. Was there a team where you're looking at them, you're like,
Mets,
Mets,
Chipper and the Mets. I mean,
I
Chipper
wonder
and
what
the
it'd be like to play in Shea Stadium every single day. I wonder if they got some good spread, like if they fly on a nice plane, because you never know. You never know.
Well, see, I grew up a huge Dodger fan. My dad was from Vero Beach, where they used to train. So the year that I retired, I actually had Stan Kasten call me up and say, "Hey, come on out. You can play whenever you want. We just need somebody to kind of police the clubhouse. We got a lot of good young kids." And I'm like, Stan, if I wear any other uniform other than a Braves uniform, they will burn my house down in Atlanta. So, at that point, I was 40 years old and a ton of mileage, ton of tread on the tires, and my body was telling me it was time to go. I had made some promises to the kids and just didn't want to. But to answer your question, obviously wanting to know what other teams and what other people, how they feel about you, it's always those thoughts are always going to creep in there. But again, Atlanta is my speed. It's my kind of town. I'm from the South, close to home, where parents and friends can come watch me play. And it was just, I was born into this organization, grew up in it, and I wanted to stay in it.
That's a really cool story about the Dodgers there too. All right, so let me ask you about what's going on with the Braves right now, because we've seen you, and everyone can give Chipper a follow if you don't already. Kind of weigh in with your 2 cents on the work that Alex Anthopoulos has done for several years now running Atlanta. So here's one. Trust the man. He's done good by us so far. Part of being a GM is adhering to the cries from the fan base, adhering to the guidelines by management. You talk to him often. He's passionate about winning. So what have you guys spoken about this offseason? Alex is usually super aggressive early, but this time around, they've had to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah, I think whenever you have certain limitations to your purse strings, you have to weigh each and every deal. And I think you saw last year with the myriad of injuries that the Braves had throughout their everyday lineup, throughout their starting staff, you really saw how maybe thin they were with depth at the higher levels and whatnot. And I think you saw the De La Cruz move yesterday or the day before, and that's one of those depth moves. Not saying he couldn't crack the starting lineup coming out of spring training, but he signs a non-guaranteed deals. That's for depth, in case we do have another rash of injuries. And he's probably not done. But the fact of the matter is Braves fans would have loved to have seen Alex get in on some of these, high-priced free agents and whatnot, at least be in the discussion for it. But the fact of the matter is he's been given guidelines and he has to abide by those. There's no doubt that the Braves could use a good corner starting outfielder. They could use another starting pitcher. They could use some high leverage guys in the bullpen. But the right situation has to come to pass for Alex to put a move on it.
Chipper, I love how active you are on social media. It's pretty refreshing, actually. Someone of your caliber you answer a lot of people not only on Instagram but on Twitter. But do you realize that if you would have swung like this instead of hitting 303, you might have hit like 550 homers and hit like 250? I'm just saying, if you would have gone like this with your first
Yeah.
move, just think how good you could have been.
Well, I think we all agree that the barrel dump right off the get go is, the primo just that's really what you want to accomplish is, hey, let's immediately loop our bat barrel to 100 miles an hour, and we'll see how often we can catch up. It's fun really trying to teach 70-year-old plumbers from New York how to hit, but it's I'm glad that some people have gotten a giggle out of some of the stuff that myself and Jonathan Lucroy and Jeff Fry have been discussing on social media the last few days.
Hey, he came after me once because I said something about him. I'm not going to say his name, but he came after me, and he happened to be in Orlando where I lived. And I said, hey, let's meet up. Like, I'll come meet you. You can show me in person. And, then he got all like, oh, well, you won't be able to do the drill and I'm like, let's slow down here, all right? Like, I'm not talking about doing drills. Let's just have a conversation about, like, what it was like to stand in the box. And, then, of course, he got too busy. But that's a whole different story. I find it funny that, it takes a lot of people to gang up on one person. But listen, I'll give that guy a lot of credit. He's made a name for himself by saying completely outrageous things and getting Hall of Famers to clap back at him. So I got to give him a little credit for that.
Well, I guess any kind of attention, whether it be positive or negative, is good attention for him. And that's why a couple of days ago I said, look, but I don't agree with, your barrel dump. You don't agree with the way I hit. That's fine. That's cool. We'll maybe one of these days we'll have a couple drinks and laugh about it. I go, but we've got to let this go because I'm not going to argue with, my living room wall any longer about, how I hit or how you hit.
Who's the best player when you played? Besides yourself, because I assume if you're a Hall of Famer, you think you're the best, because I was barely a big leaguer and I thought I was the best. So who was the best when you played, and how does that player compare to the best player now?
I will say to the day I die, the best player that I've ever seen don a baseball uniform was Barry Bonds, and there's really not even anybody close. I can certainly throw Ohtani into that mix right now from the standpoint that not solely as a hitter, but the fact that he hits at the top of the lineup, in the middle of the lineup, wherever we want to put him, but he can also be a top of the rotation starter. So that's kind of a unicorn as far as I'm concerned. But as far as just a baseball player who doesn't pitch, who could go out and dominate a game, any facet, he could do it on the bases. He could do it out in the outfield. He could do it with his arm, and obviously, the bat is the distinguisher of all of those, and he was above average at all of those. But Barry Bonds will always be the best player that I've ever seen. You can throw some other hitters in the same breath with him. Albert Pujols, playing against him, I don't think I saw him take an off-balance swing for the 10 or 12 years that I played against him. Just tremendous balance. You can tell he does his homework. Just as far as left and right-handed hitters, those are probably the two. Albert was a very good defender as well. So, but I will say till the day I die, Barry Bonds, and quite frankly, I don't even think it's close.
Thank you. I've been saying that. I've been screaming that from the rooftops. I played with him for a year. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. But there's two people that are going to be mad at you for who you just said. One of them you might agree with, Freddie Freeman. He's going to be calling you like, hey, Chipper, come pick me up on your ATV again. But remember, I was pretty good. And then the other one's going to be Frenchie. Frenchie's going to be calling you like, hey, I had a great month or two, right? So why not get thrown in there?
Well, I can make a case for Freddie because I think Freddie's destined for the Hall of Fame. Obviously, this past postseason was kind of the cherry on the top for him to be able to go out and do some of the things that he did was really kind of spine tingling, and just to have had a little bit of an influence his first couple years on him. In the batting cages and whatnot was, it was kind of a big brother moment, big brother, little brother moment. For me, just texting him throughout the World Series and whatnot. Couldn't be happier for him. Frenchie, yeah, Frenchie, Captain Caveman, as I like to call him. He's certainly a much better announcer talking about hitting than he was as a student of hitting. I've never seen a guy with a bigger arm bar than he had. That wide sweeping swing that used to get eat up on fastballs. And no matter how much you try and talk to Frenchie about hitting, it was just see ball, hit ball, bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean? And but love the kid to death, and good to see he's making a name for himself in the broadcast booth.
The other day, I asked Smoltzy what he thought Ohtani would have gotten had the roles been reversed. Had Soto signed first, I need your guess of how much Ohtani would have gotten, because in my opinion, Ohtani is just light years above what Juan Soto is. But what do you think, your guess, if last year Soto got his 765?
Oh, $1 billion. A billion. I mean, I've heard certain people say that Juan Soto is a generational type hitter. Juan Soto is a very, very good, disciplined hitter, but we're throwing around the generational thing way too much. I mean, the guy that is generational was the guy who signed last year. Like, that is a once in a generation type of player, talking about Ohtani. But again, the value is in the eye of the beholder, and we all know how competitive the back page of the New York Post is, and whoever resides on the back page wins the day. And the Yankees and the Mets, they compete for that page nonstop. And Steve Cohn and the Mets decided they wanted to own the back page for a little bit, and they got it. So it is what it is. But I say if Soto signs first and Ohtani comes up a year later and Soto got 765, then there's no doubt in my mind that Ohtani gets $1 billion.
All right, two quick things, real quick, Chip, before Kratz has a special video for you he wants to show you. One, was Shea Stadium your favorite stadium you played in when they were chanting Larry at you? Was that like your favorite place to go and play?
It was certainly one of them. People ask me all the time my favorite stadiums, and from a standpoint of true adrenaline rushes, I grew up my dad raised me in the shadow of Mickey Mantle, and he always used to say, if you can be successful on that stage when the lights are the brightest, you can be successful anywhere. So it was not just a game in the middle of May or June when we went to New York to play the Mets or the Yankees. It was seventh game of the World Series for me. I wanted to stand out. I wanted to shine. Obviously, when I was younger, I said some stuff, that Mets fans didn't like very much, and they let me hear about it from then on till the end of my career. We got 40,000 people yelling your given name at one time, and you make a right turn at first base or walk back to the dugout after striking out, they let you hear about it. So you want to make sure that you are motivated enough to make enough left turns to shut them up from time to time during the course of the game. But Shea was definitely one of my favorites. Obviously, playing in Denver where you can hit the ball, 500 feet easily. I always used to love playing in Houston. Us and the Astros had a really good run there for a while. So those were three of my favorites.
Okay, well, I mean, Denver doesn't count because, that was like every hitter loved Denver. So that one was right. Great. Now, before Kratz gets to his video, we mentioned Freddie Freeman. I played with Freddie after you retired. And so I think you started him, and then I hope that I finished him off as a product and got him to where he was. I wasn't near the influence you were on him, but listen, every day he wore a shirt, and it was the old Battle Axe, and it was a Chipper Jones, and it said the old Battle Axe. Now, did he carry that over to L.A., and where the heck did that nickname come from you? Because I never heard anyone call it, and then Freddie every day had the old Battle Axe shirt he'd wear.
Well, I think it was just a nickname that they give the old guys. I came right there at the end. We had a bunch of young guys, and I would try and you know throw my clout around every once in a while, and they'd be like, "Shut up, you old battle axe," like you're on the way out anyway. So it kind of stuck. But yeah, Freddie had that uniform that had, or that shirt that had all my stats, my career stats on the back of it. And I really think that he kind of uses it for motivation. He's like, I'm gonna eclipse all those numbers. So if I can be an influence either directly or indirectly that helps him, have something to shoot for, then I think he's headed in the right direction.
All right. Obviously, you're going to have some commentary as we go over this video because this video is no audio, so we can talk about it. But your battle axe face was going out. You were going out. You're at second base. There's 2 outs here, and this is what happens.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that was the last thing that I wanted to see when I was rounding third was, 6'5". What are you right there? About 250, 260 right there?
Yep.
I mean, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I hope this throw doesn't take him up the line. And sure as crap, it sure did. Took him right up the line. And you can see I have nowhere to go. Like I can't. If I go around him looking at busting up my knee again, and trust me, I did not want contact with a freight train like that. But I did the best I could. Kudos to EK for hanging on to it. I know Halliday wasn't real happy with me when I bowled over his catcher, but
he was cussing up a storm at you. He was cussing up a storm at you. But this is what I tell everybody about. People are always like, "Oh man, I remember when you got crushed by Chipper." Not a big home run I hit or anything like that. They're like, "I remember when you got hit by Chipper." And they're like, "What do you remember from it?" I said, "I remember the fact that you played the next day. The next day was a day game, and you played. And at 40 years old, we talk about load management. To me, that's all you need to know about Chipper Jones."
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. I know my shoulder hurt for quite some time. Luckily, played through it. But obviously, just one of those moments. I've seen it come up on my timeline every once in a while, and I get a chuckle because I couldn't even see home plate, man. It was like covered up. So,
Wait, was that the same game you hit the home run off Pap with Kratz catching? Is that like the same game you were like,
No.
revenge? 2-0,
Not the same
heater,
one.
Pap,
Different one.
just on the split?
No, it was a
No.
different one. Yeah.
Different game.
Mm.
That's the good stuff.
That's
though.
when you know you have a lot of memories when you're like, oh, no, that was a different one.
Oh, sorry, different time that I.
No, another
Homer.
different walk-off
Yeah,
homer.
no
Sorry.
big deal. Well, Chipper, this was awesome. Really glad we got some time with you. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the holidays with the big fam, all right?
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed talking to you. Same to y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Chipper Jones, joining us on Foul Territory. And we'll swing right back. And we will go over some rumors about the Yankees and the Cubs, talking about a Cody Bellinger situation. But first, Hammer Territory, look at the pretty graphics there, is the leading Atlanta Braves podcast. So you can listen to Brad, Scott, and the rest of the crew go over every single thing that the Braves do year-round, bringing you a ton of episodes every week, emergency episodes when they sign someone. They even did an episode on Brian De La Cruz, who was signed to a non-guaranteed contract. So if you want more on that, go check it out, and we will be right back. Here we go. Let's talk Manscaped, sponsoring FT today. And you can make sure that you get yourself a little 20% off plus free shipping with the code FOUL20, FOUL20. Let's talk Chairman Pro. There's a good look at some of the variety packs that you can get on the bottom there. Lots of nice options for you, but we've been pumping the Chairman Pro. There's a lot of facial hair involved with this show. We do not have the old Yankees policy. So we can give you a little bit
You know
of
who
this.
used the Chairman Pro? Kratz. Because in that video he just showed he had like some kind of hair, and now he got nothing. So he Chairman Pro'd all that off. All of it
great
off.
hair. Before that play, I had great hair. He knocked my hairline off. That helmet came off and just didn't come back.
Well, good news. There's the Flex Pro or a Flex Adjust technology for the Chairman Pro. If you have issues with where you're seeing you should be moving around your razor, LED Spotlight helps you out there. Up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge. They can handle very, very comfortably up to 5-day growth. Even if you got that thick beard going, Chairman Pro is there to help rescue the facial hair and get you all set up for the holidays. So if you haven't gotten to your Christmas shopping, now is the time. And go check out manscaped.com, FOUL20, FOUL20, 20% off plus free shipping with the code FOUL20. All right, we'll be right back. We're going to go over the Cubs-Yankees trade talk situation going on right now. And within that, AJ can get his 2 cents in on what's going on with the Chicago Cubs bringing in Kyle Tucker since he wasn't with us on Friday. We'll get his take there. We'll be right back. So we'll get to the Cubs conversation a little bit later on. We can sneak in just a quick note here from Ken Rosenthal. He said the Brewers would be open to moving Rhys Hoskins, but they'd probably have to eat some money, maybe send a prospect. I'm summarizing here a little bit from Ken because if you look at the first base market, there's a lot out there besides just Pete Alonso and Christian Walker. The next layer of vets, Josh Bell, Carlos Santana, who actually had a really good year overall, and especially with the glove. Goldie's on the market, Justin Turner, Anthony Rizzo still trying to play, I think. So
we have the two.
Right.
Pete and
that's
Christian.
The tier up
and
top.
You got the next level. And it just depends because first base is starting to become very undervalued. Does anybody thinks they can go Moneyball and take a guy and Rafi Devers can play first base, or Jay Cronenworth can play first base, or blah blah Luis Ariz can play first base, whoever it is, right? So I think it's kind of becoming a little bit undervalued. Now what Christian Walker does and what Pete Alonso does probably is a little bit above what the rest of them can do. I mean, Carlos Santana, if he was 10 years younger, would be getting paid this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Off what he did? Yeah.
What he did. So I think there's a lot of options out there. If you're a team looking for a first baseman, this is the year to grab him.
Yeah, but Hoskins making $18 million, Kratz, so the Brewers are always straddling the line on the payroll side.
I think they were hoping he would opt out. I think they were hoping he'd have a great year to be able to opt out. But I also think the second full season after an ACL surgery, you're really back. You got your legs back under you. I'm not saying he didn't last year. I'm saying to me, there's going to be some extra in there with Rhys. He's always pro too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Murph likes Rhys too. So
yeah, Murph likes Rhys
a lot.
Great clubhouse guy. He's actually technically kind of costing them $22 million next year because he has a mutual option, which are basically fake, for the year after, or a $4 million buyout.
I would. He would be a guy. He would be a guy I would see the Brewers trading midseason.
Midseason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're not in it, if they fall out, if something goes wrong for Milwaukee, he would be a guy I would see them moving.
Listen, he can get hot too. he can get hot. So if it comes up at the right time, you could get some serious value from him.
I agree. I think he's going to have a better year than he did last year, second year away from
Just needs to watch out for them Polish
surgery.
sausage.
Yeah, that's true. He's got to watch out for AJ.
Cheating Polish sausages.
Yeah, well, look that up. We don't
Never
have
been
time
said
for
in the
it.
same sense before.
Till now.
Let's bring in our next guest, Susan Slusser from the San Francisco Chronicle, joining us right now. Susan, great to have you back on. Thank you for the time, and I'm going to go right to it because Giants fans have been asking us in the chat, what are the chances that the Giants win the Corbin Burnes sweepstakes in your mind? Do you want to give us a percentage before you explain?
Well, I hate to be boring. I'm going to say 50-50 because that's like the best cop out ever, right? I was right either way. You know what? I've been told repeatedly it's in ownership's hands. So if the owners want to replace Blake Snell and give Buster Posey really something to work with after signing Willy Adames, they'll do it. That price tag's going to be north of 240 probably. Million, obviously. That's going to be a lot, especially a starting pitcher. There are always risks, but I really think that the ownership seems like they back Buster pretty 100%. I texted with Greg Johnson, one of the owners, the principal owner, last week, and he said, we 100% support any smart decisions Buster makes. To me, replacing Blake Snell at the top of that rotation would be a very smart decision. So they're in the driver's seat if they want to do it. Obviously, Corbin Burnes played college baseball in the Bay Area at St. Mary's, knows the Bay Area. The Giants now have one of the best left side infield defenses in the game, great pitchers park, and they're putting together an interesting team that now has a few more offensive components too. Obviously, Adames gives them more power, a little bit of speed. They're kind of talking again about maybe running a little more. They have the means to do it, I think, now with Tyler Fitzgerald, Willy Adames. So they're an attractive team, I think, for a starting pitcher. So it's just going to be, will they pony up? Be awful fun if they did. If not, Buster Posey's been saying a lot of nice things about Roki Sasaki. A lot of nice things.
Well, good luck to him. All 30 GMs have been saying very nice things about the pitcher who could be a number 1 or number 2 starter who's costing pennies in the baseball world. But I agree, he's going to make his pitch. But let me get back to the big money man for a second. So first off, you said you spoke to ownership. My question is, where do you think the team is at now that Posey has taken over? Does it mean that the team might be more in the low to mid 200s range with their payroll million, of course, as well for a single season? Last year, I think they were in the 206 range with the Athletic article that I'd written that said that they might take it down, let's see, more towards the high 100s. I don't know if you've got, any reporting on what the deal is now that Posey has taken over, but this team used to be more in the top 5. If you look back like 2015, 16, 17, 18, and they fell off more to middle of the pack in the last several years.
I never got the impression they were going to significantly cut payroll. I think especially last year, they didn't have any problem going over the luxury tax threshold. They obviously signed Snell late. They'd signed Jung-Hoo Lee. They added Chapman, Jorge Soler. They were fine with adding. And I think now with Buster, they would like to make a big splash. I really don't think this is a team with enormous resources. They don't just own their own ballpark. They also own all of that development south of the ballpark, which is now starting to get some pretty big clients. Some of the residences are open. It's kind of a money-making machine there. And of course, like every team, they've appreciated in value. They've got very owners with an awful lot of resources. I don't see payroll as being something that should or probably will keep them from trying to compete. Buster Posey has said repeatedly he wants to win. I think he wants to win now. Willy Adames said he got that impression when he first spoke to him. That's why he wound up in San Francisco. To me, if that's your idea, you've got to go out and get Corbin Burnes. And if you don't, you sure as heck should be getting Sasaki.
You said about Buster making smart decisions with the money. Does that mean that Farhan Zaidi wasn't making smart decisions according to ownership?
I don't think that there was ever any sense of that. I do think that there was frustration. for everyone, Zaidi included, about the fact that the Giants kept finishing second on all the big name guys. You got to, that's a no-win situation. You got to go in. You've got to make your pitch. They did. They were willing to pay Ohtani what the Dodgers gave him. Obviously, they were willing to give Judge what the Yankees gave him, but they just can't coming up short. I don't think that that's anyone's fault. I don't necessarily even think that the Giants were getting used by free agents or what have you. It certainly can happen, but I think that was a major frustration, and there was just no way to say that was one person's fault or not one person's fault, but it led to a lot of frustration. And then we saw last year when they lose out on Ohtani, Zaidi made some very good and much cheaper deals than you might have imagined for guys like especially Snell, much lower than market value. So he did a pretty good job with what he could, given the fact he wasn't going to give those big name guys. Ownership, I think, wanted a new direction, but I don't think there was anything necessarily to tie any of Farhan's past deals to that.
Well, Farhan's coming on here on Wednesday, Susan, so we'll tell him that you said nice things about him, okay? So we'll let him know what a fan of his you are and how you saved them how you said he saved a bunch of money.
AJ, I've known Farhan basically since his first days in baseball when he was with Oakland. So, I've seen him grow up in the game. But, if you're not going to get the top guys, you got to fill in around them. I think he always did a pretty good job of that. But look at the division they're playing in, you guys. That's the tough thing.
No excuses. No excuses.
They could go out and get, that's what we said last year. Like, they could go out and get Snell, Chapman, Soler, Jung-Hoo Lee, trade for Robbie Ray and still finish fourth in the division. That's exactly what happened. The same thing could happen again this year. They could go out and get all of these guys and finish fourth in this division. It's just an incredible amount of talent at the top.
Perfect. All right, Susan. So the Farhan being let go and then them having Buster Posey take over. Is this a changing of the guard in their philosophy? It has to be, right? Like Farhan, with Gabe Kapler, I know Bob Melvin was there last year, but platoon heavy, try to find deals, in the margins, try to get guys. Now, Buster Posey is like, I just want good players. I know they're still using analytics, and I know they still want this, but it definitely seems like Buster Posey wants more of, here's my 9 guys we're going to battle with, and we'll take on your 9 guys.
Yeah, I do think, look, every team wants character guys, right? I think Buster Posey really wants gritty guys. There was a lot of talk the other day, and this it won't come as a surprise to anyone. During the Willy Adames press conference, he played in 161 last year, wanted to play 162. He wants those kind of guys. He wants guys that played like he did. Now, you can't get a roster of 26 Buster Poseys, but I think that's what he wants. He wants Chapman's, Adames's, guys who are going to go out and really fight and lift up their teammates and hold them accountable too, which is exactly what Buster did when he was a player. I think that's important for him. He's been willing to hire some guys who don't have a lot of executive experience, like Randy Wynn taking over player development. Former Giants, people kind of know what it is to play there, to live there, to be a part of the city. So there's a little bit of shift. Now, obviously, Farhan Zaidi knew the city well. Bob Melvin knows the city well. They're very, longtime Bay Area residents and understand that kind of thing. And Melvin, of course, played for the Giants. But we are seeing a strong influx of some people associated with some of those Giants championship years. And I think that's the ethos they want back.
Susan, you didn't give Buster my phone number, I guess, because I played for the Giants. I didn't get a phone call to join the front office. What happened? My number's retired. My number's retired by the Giants.
Call Randy. I
must have been a digit off, AJ.
Oh, okay. It must have got lost in the email.
It's tough to get numbers.
It must be in my It is very hard to get phone numbers of people that used to play in your organization.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure Buster would love to hear from you, AJ.
We should get him on the show too. Yeah,
he wouldn't.
Thanks, he wouldn't. All right, I'm going to take you to a much messier situation, but at least it looks like the product on the field is going to be much better. So, what do you think about the action with the A's at the moment? So, some places that have to watch what they say are like, "Wow, look at Oakland," or sorry, I keep saying Oakland, but look at the A's like investing in their product and all of that. They literally have to, or all the owners are going to get in trouble because there'll be a grievance filed against the franchise for essentially just stealing money for the league. You have to put some money, an iota of money back into the product. So being that they do that, it actually looks like they have a nice couple starters to add to their rotation in the last week that they just made deals for.
Absolutely. And that's what they needed. You know what? This is not a bad team. And again, you talk about the NOS, the AL West, the A's are a team that actually could make some noise there. They've got some really good young offensive players. You add a couple starters. The bullpen is phenomenal. I like the A's in that division. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but if they get up somewhere in the, 83, 85 win mark, they could sneak into a playoff position in that, especially in that division. Mark Kotze has done a wonderful job. Look at what the teams have done in the second half each of the last 2 years. Very young teams, not expected to do anything. He's been phenomenal. And David Forst and everyone else in that front office are going to try to compete with what they have, and they are. They're doing a nice job of it. Now, they're also going to be in Sacramento for the next 3 years. They will sell out that ballpark. It's only 14, 15,000-ish. They're still kind of making updates and all of that. They will sell out. So this isn't a situation where, we need to get butts in the seats. They'll have that. But they do need to have a decent team, I think. They're in a precarious situation. Yes, the Las Vegas thing looks like it's going forward. I think that's more credit to Las Vegas than anything A's ownership is doing. But the financing hasn't 100% been nailed down. And you never know, look how long have we been talking about this, you guys? Forever, it feels like. So Sacramento, I think if things go south a little bit in Vegas, Sacramento would love to swoop in. So you want to make the Sacramentans happy, I think, with the team. And what are we calling them now? They're just the A's, the Sacra Vegas. What do we call them? I don't know.
Wait,
So somewhere on the West Coast Athletics.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what do you call them? Tell her what you call them.
Bad movie made about team? I don't know.
No, I like AJ's name
ATHs.
for him.
Yeah, the ATHs.
Because you've never seen that where a team comes out and announces don't call us by our city, just call us ATH.
Yep.
Well, we have the California Angels. Maybe they can be the California A's. Let's do it. That's a little too much.
No, they're the Oakland Athletics in Sacramento, like the Los Angeles Angels that don't live anywhere near Los Angeles and Anaheim.
It's about the same distance, honestly, from LA to Anaheim as it is to
That's
Sacramento from here.
Well, it depends on traffic. It could take you a lot longer to get to Anaheim. Susan, what's the percent? We gave you a percentage chance with Corbin Burnes ending up in San Francisco. What's the percentages that the A's, the ATHs, actually end up in Las Vegas? Because until I see a stadium actually going up, I need to see pile drivers putting a stadium in the ground, like a little golden shovel, throw the dirt over my head. That doesn't work for me. I need to actually see construction of a stadium. What's the percentage that they actually make it to Vegas?
I'm with you, AJ. That, like I said, I think the only thing that is making me think it really actually could happen is Vegas. Vegas gets stuff done. A's ownership does not get stuff done and kind of makes and stumbles all over the place. So I'm going to go 33% yes. They get it. Las Vegas gets it done with the caveat that somehow the A's owners could still really very much mess that up, especially without a firm amount of funding. They keep saying we can fund this whole thing ourselves. Well, the price tag is well over $1 billion at this point, and it's just going to keep going up over the next 3 years. So who knows? That's a saga that I'm getting really tired of, and I think everyone else is. But the Oakland A's fans, the ones that are based here in Oakland, most of them have jumped off ship. So that was a sad day, and now I think everyone's kind of ready to move on. We'll see what happens in Sacramento, and that's going to be the word I'm not sure I'm allowed to say. Can I swear on here? The word I heard bandied around the most at the winter meetings involved the second half of the word being show. So it will be something kind of show.
Oh, yes, exactly. That sounds about right. Well, 33% is pretty low.
That's low. That's low.
I would have put it under. I'm still putting it under 50. I'm with Susan on this one.
Yeah.
Until I see actual construction, and I'm not talking dirt. I'm talking beams being put into the ground. I'm with her. And the price keeps going up, and the John Fisher ain't not spending any more money.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a cynic by nature, you guys, but this has been 20 years of seeing new blueprints and plans and financing arrangements and tax districts. And it's just some of it, I think, is just pure cynicism on my part. But again, Vegas, they took the Raiders. They've got hockey. Vegas doesn't. They don't seem to have a lot of the rules and restrict. It's a lot easier to develop in Vegas. So
You know where
They
it's
could get
even
it.
easier to
Here we
easier
go.
to develop, Susan? Orlando. Bigger
Oh,
market, more
The tourism
more
capital
tourists.
of the
I mean,
world.
we'll take the ATHs, but we're changing their name. They're not going to be the ATHs.
Heck no.
Trust me. It's
Yeah.
not going to be the Orlando
You know,
Athletic.
there's a team in Central Florida, AJ, that doesn't actually have a stadium right now, a big league stadium. So you can get to work maybe on that. Yeah,
Oh,
that
trust
might be
me.
easier.
Trust me. There's some.
Pretty
There's
dry.
there's some things happening, Susan. Don't you worry. So I know you have to
Don't
go.
put your
but
pen
before I let
away.
you go, as I lose my audio again
Uh-oh.
because this thing sucks.
don't put your pen away,
Shit
Susan.
show, as you were going to
He'll
say,
ha-
but I'll
he'll
say
have
it
an-
for you. But Susan, I have to say this one thing that was funny, and you work for the Chronicle, right? Is it the
Yeah.
San Francisco
That's right.
Chronicle?
Still for now, yeah.
When you'd go to Oakland, they'd have they used to lay newspapers out on the little tables they had.
Uh-huh.
And wasn't the Chronicle? Was that the green one? Was that the green paper?
That's-
Why was
Yeah.
it green?
That's the
Can you
green one.
explain? I missed the green
It's
paper,
still
but why
green.
was it green?
A long time ago, all the Chronicle sections were different colors. Well, a lot of them were. Like the Datebook Entertainment section was pink. It's still pink on Sundays, and the Sporting Green is still green. So, and that's it. Those are the only ones that still have the colors. But yeah, there were different colors. I can't remember what business was, but everybody had. I don't know why. Just a little fun. It's San Francisco, man. It's we like to liven things up.
Yeah.
Mm,
Also, it
true.
stands out. That's good
No,
marketing.
it was you knew where you were. There was always
It's
the green
memorable.
section out. Mikey would always put the green section out on the table.
That is smart. I
Yeah.
like that. Well,
And
Susan,
then you go to get to the ballpark and you run to the Beta Bridges race where people are in shopping carts and no clothes on and acting all kinds of crazy. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Beta Breakers. Yeah, it's a
man.
lot of costumes, a lot of nudity. Yeah, you got the full San Francisco
Oh,
experience.
I got the
AJ.
full treatment more
you got
than
the full
once. Yeah.
spread of San
Oh,
Francisco.
so you try to go to the ballpark from the hotel, whether it was the Giant Stadium or the A's, and if
Yeah.
it was that weekend, you had to leave at like 9 a.m. for a 7 o'clock game because every road was like closed down. You couldn't
Naked
go
bodies all over the place.
anywhere. Oh, it was just naked people
Yeah.
running around the city.
There's worse things. Well,
That could
Susan,
be any
thank-
day in San Francisco.
You're not
I'm
wrong.
glad these guys were paying attention. Susan, thank you for joining us. Great to catch up.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. That's Susan Slusser. Check out her work in the San Francisco Chronicle and also give her a follow at Susan Slusser on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Be right back. Spreading rumors. All right. So you can obviously let us know within your answer what you thought of that Kyle Tucker trade with Houston shipping him out. Because to me, it's still crazy how a little over a week ago, you're like, Kyle Tucker? Why would they trade Kyle Tucker right now? And then boom, Soto signs. They realize there's zero chance they're going to bring him back. Let's get something for him. So the Chicago Cubs land a superstar. And we can also show the tweet from Nightingale. They finished up their deal with Carson Kelly. That's 2 years, 11 and a half. And they're busy on the trade front. Bob said they're trying to move Cody Bellinger. They're showing interest in Marlins starter Jesus Luzardo while also seeking a third baseman. And it sounds like the third baseman, if they do get one, would be more of the type in the temp role that could lead the way for Matt Shaw, who's a pretty good prospect there, who they kept. They traded Cam Smith away in that deal. One more. Let's show Heyman's tweet too, because it involves the next steps here. He said, still a money gap in the Bellinger trade talk with the Yankees and Cubs as of this minute. And that was sent out on Sunday about 24 hours ago. And he said, it's a matter of who blinks first, if ever, still could happen. But the Yankees are also considering, and he listed a ton of other first basemen and probably others. What do you think?
I
The
think,
new look Cubs?
Listen, they needed this. They needed a star. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked to we've talked about it, and you talk to Craig Counsell and you talk to the people around the Cubs, and they're like, "Where's the power? Where is the power going to come from?" Bellinger lost his power because he just lost his power, right? And Dansby Swanson, really good shortstop, not a ton of power, right? Ian Happ, not a ton of power. I mean, these are good Major League Baseball players, but they're not guys that can take you to the next level, as we've seen the last few years with the Cubs. And we keep asking, when are the Cubs going to throw their money where they're behind what they should be able to do? And this is just the start. Now, if they don't sign Tucker, it's a different story. But for right now, this is a good start. I mean, Carson Kelly, 2 years, 11.5, man, Kratz, you would have got paid. But, I mean, that's the going rate now. 2 years, 10 to 12 for backup catchers, kind of the going rate now. It's crazy. But, like, you look around their infield, Nico Horner, nice piece. They need to find is Bush the answer at first base, right? They have Seiya Suzuki, I think, who they'd like to maybe move if they could in the right deal. But if they can make a trade and get rid of Bellinger, that's $30 million off their books. Then what can they go do? I think they still need a starting pitcher. I think they still need a proven bullpen guy. And I think they need one more bat if they're really going to compete in this division.
Yeah, and home run wise, you're right. So Seiya had 21 homers. He was hurt for a little bit of time, but still gave him over 500 at bats. Happ led the team with 25 dingers, 569 ABs, and Bush was just under 500 ABs at 21 home runs. That was it for the 20 plus.
But if you talk to them, they need guys that can mash.
They got one.
They went and got Paredes because he was a guy that could pull homers. And they're like, oh, he's the future. Well, they went out and got Tucker.
Yeah. And actually, when I think back, because there was a lot of reflecting on, we hit that deal as it happened on Friday's show. But when I look back, I'm like, Kratz, remember we were like, what are they doing? You saw Paredes at the deadline? And it's like, yeah, actually that helped them turn this into Kyle Tucker for next year, who's easily a top 10 player in the league. He's close to top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what his potential is, and the little bit that he played last year, it was ridiculous. It was incredible production, 100 RBI guy twice in his career. So I love what they did, but I'm kind of going against AJ in the sense that they're not moving in that. They're moving in that direction, but they haven't changed anything. It's the same old Cubs. They're not making a big splash. To me, if this team is like, hey, you know what? We have the pieces, because they do have really nice pieces. You named a bunch of them. But if they get rid of Bellinger, I don't think that takes a lot away from their team. If they get rid of Seiya Suzuki, I think Seiya's on the up. But if they would get rid of Bellinger, maybe put in Nico Horner in that, and then they take that $30 million plus that they saved, and they go and get Corbin Burnes, now I really like this team. Now this team is set to make a move. They do have to extend Tucker, and based on what Soto just got, that's why the Astros got rid of him. But I think Burnes is that guy out there that could anchor this rotation and get stuff done.
Well, I said this is the start of them going in the right direction, but they have to re-sign Tucker, and they have to make some other moves. Now, just going to get Tucker isn't enough. The one thing they do have going for them, though, is the division. I would say right now the Brewers have gotten worse, right? The Cubs with Tucker are probably better than they were last year, and then they've made some other nice moves here and there.
Cubs are better. Cardinals are going to
be worse. The Reds should be better.
Yes.
Right?
Pirates are going to be worse.
Pirates are going to be the same.
Yeah. Same. Right. Maybe the same. That's true.
But, I mean, the one thing is the Brewers, we say this every year, but they keep sustaining these big hits like Adames and Devin Williams, and these are some big hits. They're taking big hits now.
They are.
I mean, maybe Woody comes back. Woodruff comes back. I don't know.
They're replenishing.
I know, but you can't constantly replenish these type of players and not have a little step back.
But
at some point it catches up to you.
You weren't with us, but Devin on Friday. But Devin Williams gets traded. They bring over 2 guys that are going to help next year's club.
I know.
They didn't have enough starting pitching last year. Now they have Nestor.
Yeah.
Durbin is a total Brewer.
He's like Sal Frelick, Terang.
He's just a
pest. He's a bowling ball. He's a bowling ball that runs. It's unbelievable.
You know what he is? He's a Pat Murphy player. That's exactly what he is. Bingo. He's a Pat Murphy type player.
Oh, Pat
Murphy. Oh, Pat was like, I'm all in on this.
You watched him in the Arizona Fall League steal a base every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Broke the record in stolen base. He's like 5'6", 185. He has no neck. I'm like, this dude looks like this. And everyone's like, oh, he's a contact guy. I brought your name up, AJ, because they were talking about, I said Nick Madrigal was a contact guy. This dude had 13 pumps. Like, I wasn't on board with the Nick Madrigal stuff. This dude steals bags, and he doesn't strike out, and he had 13 pumps in the bushes. So,
if things go wrong for the Cubs, will you think the Cubs try to trade Tucker at the deadline, or they automatically try to extend him?
Well, if they're out of the playoff picture, I don't think they're going to be that. Well, I mean, you're saying if they're like 15 games under, it was a disaster. Yeah, of course, because he's going to be a free agent at that point. But otherwise, no. I think he just plays the year.
Why not get him? Why not sign him now? The Cubs have the means.
Ricketts I don't think
family.
Either side will
sign
do
him
it.
Now. Sign him now, Ricketts.
Nah, if I'm Kyle Tucker's side, no thanks. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I think he's going to get to free agency at this point. He's a year away. that's a tough combo. Tough combo, I'm telling you. He hasn't stepped foot in the franchise yet. I think you have a
400.
shot if it's a hot month or two during the season. You're off to a great start. He's loving life. Everyone's happy. No? I'm telling you, it's a tough combo
then
right
he
now.
doesn't. I say right now, 400 will do it.
I don't know.
Mm.
If I'm his guy, I want 450 plus.
You're not getting more than Trout. Sorry, you're not getting more than Trout.
All right, I'll see you in free agency, baby. Because I don't know if you heard that there's a team that plays near the team that pays the highest paid dude in pro sports. They play near him, and they also were calling for this man's services, and they would like to compete.
Yankees?
The Yankees are going to make a big play for him next offseason. Yes, they are.
Not until Stanton comes off the books.
Wait, they tried to keep Soto,
Not until Stanton comes off the books.
their right fielder Soto, and now they're going to go after Tucker
Prince.
the next offseason.
We'll see.
If you guys don't think they're going after him
Clip
next
this,
offseason,
producer lady.
you're
Clip this,
cray-cray.
and we can prove Scott wrong. Clip
Okay, clip
Clip
it. Clip it. Save it, because we have to save it for a whole year, and we're on for 2 hours a day. All right, let's first off let you know. Actually, I'm going to do back-to-back promos for you. One verbal. Baseball America Hot Sheet Show today. We're going over all the trade returns on the prospect side. So that includes the Kyle Tucker trade. So Cam Smith, you'll learn much more about him if you're an Astros fan. That includes the A's-Rays trade, but also Caleb Durbin conversation. We'll definitely have it there because, yeah, I've seen it all over the map. I've seen this is the next Dustin Pedroia, and I've seen this is the next John Birdie. So we are really talking variance here. Anyway, North Side. I'm telling you, this is what, just like Shota Managa last year. Some people thought he's a 1, some people thought he's a 7, and he looks more like a 1. All right, North Side Territory also breaks down everything you need to know on the Cubs side, so make sure you check it out. Part of the FT Networks, Hadif Sharma, Patrick Mooney, best in the biz out there, covering the Chicago Cubs. All right, next up, this rumor from Chandler Rome, part of Crush City Territory. Important to note, Nolan Arenado has a full no-trade clause. He can dictate where he goes. Currently unclear whether he would waive it to join Houston, but the Astros will ask the Cardinals to help pay down some of the money across the next 3 years, which is $74 million, and did say that there's some interest from Houston. Now, it also is a little bit of a Alex Bregman push, but at least for now, they're saying they're serious suitors. They are talking to St. Louis about trying to make that happen. Also, there have been multiple reports in LA. People are still talking about that train, saying the Dodgers are not even making phone calls there. So let's focus here. I think Houston would be a really nice fit for Nolan Arenado and for an Astros team that doesn't want to take a step back. So I'm in for this particular looking deal to get Arenado in that ballpark, get a little bit of a resurrected.
Defense is still good.
Defense
is still
move
good.
Paredes over to first because Paredes is just okay at third.
Yeah, I think this is if he'll do it. I think this is kind of a no-brainer for the.
He should do
if
it.
they can pull it off.
Yeah, this is going to be a better team in 2025 if Nolan wants to try
Better
and
than the
play some more
Cardinals?
playoff ball.
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Oh yeah. So I actually think this could match up pretty well. Are you with me, Kratz?
I like it, but I like what you said first. Bregman's still out there. If you start spreading some rumors about some things that, hey, you know what? If you're not going to take what we're offering, we're going to go in a different direction. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I think they really want Bregman back. I don't think they want to go with this Arenado stuff.
I don't think the Astros. I don't know that the Astros. I don't think that they don't want him back. I just don't think that they think they can get him back.
Yeah, he's gone.
And that's why I think.
What did Chipper say? Every time that a guy got to free agency as a Brave, they almost always left because you always see what's out there, and you never want a guy to get the opportunity to see what's out there because if you do, a lot of times you lose them because there'll be another team. It's the fresh new look, whatever you want to call it. Oh, look, there's this team wants me. They're pretty good. I can see why I would want to go there. That's why you got to try to sign these guys. That's why teams that are able to sign some of these guys at younger ages look smart because a lot of times it turns out to be the right move. Not always, but most of the time.
I think he's gone, Kratz. I mean, I think
I think he's gone too.
Something. Maybe they go up to 160 something. Is the most they're going to go. I mean, I think he's going to get 7, close to 200 somewhere else. I don't. I think that's the case. I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes. His representation does a nice job of playing up the market. Like the Dodgers were in on Juan Soto the whole time until we get the reports from everyone afterward that they were never in on him at all.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. Fake news, fake offers.
But it looks
the
good
whole
on
deal.
paper to say the Dodgers.
It
are on
always does, of course. Dodgers in on
I think
everyone.
they make it play it. I think they make it play at Bohm. I think they like the controllability part of it. Maybe something with like Ryan Presley, Philly's looking for a closer, that type.
I think I could see that, but I could
don't
also
see that. I don't see.
you don't
I
see
don't
that?
see Bohm.
I think the Astros, they have a little more faith in veterans than some other teams do. Is that fair?
Yeah. I don't think the Astros go for Bohm. I don't think that's a fit. I think that's the Phillies fan in you hoping and wishing that they would make a play for Bohm.
I don't think they should get rid of Bohm. Back-to-back seasons of 97 stakes. I am not in the get rid of Bohm camp. I think that's an easy target, and I think they need to understand how hard that is to replicate 97 RBIs in back-to-back seasons.
RBIs don't matter. Ask money.
I'll give you one other name. Actually, his Nolan's former temeate. If they don't
Goldie
get him,
Schmidt?
I could see them signing Goldie and keeping Paredes at third. I think they want another vet there for the infield. I think Houston plays that game.
They do.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Abreu really didn't work out, but they had a lot of faith in a guy that was pretty deep in his
They
career.
kept him around longer than a lot of teams.
And he was expensive. Goldie's not going to be that expensive coming off the year that he I just think that Houston is going to look for undervalued assets where some teams just absolutely kill you on the age curve projection model. I don't think Houston's model does that the same way. It's the vibe I get. Where they're like, hey, we actually see a hole here. Some teams are crushing veterans too hard if they see a little dip in exit velo, chase percentage, etc. That could be the case, but sometimes it's not the case when you're a superstar talent. I don't think every player is treated the same, right? I mean, Freddie Freeman's what, 34, 35? I don't see much dip yet. Do you?
No.
I get it.
I agree.
Different, like big time, Hall of Fame level bat, but Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt are pretty good. I'm not saying they're going to be superstars again, but I think they still have some time left in the bigs.
Especially when you don't have to be the guy. And you go to the Astros, they don't need to be the guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's show you the newest member of the FT fam, Crush City. There it is. Check it out. Obviously, they were all over
Look at those rockets.
the Kyle Tucker news. I like it a lot. Tyler and Chandler there for you. Might have a little former player added to the mix soon, so we'll keep you posted on that front. But
Can we get like Michael Bourne to join that show or something like that? Oh, Michael Bourne's a
I've
fan.
got a good name. I'm not going to say it on
You
air
got a
yet.
good name?
That you would like. That's maybe going to be a part of that show.
Ex-Astro?
Yeah,
Chuck
don't say it.
Norris.
Don't say
Chuck
it. But
Norris.
you can say it in our text because I want to be able to announce it. But it's a name you'll like. I'm pretty confident in that. He's a well-liked guy out there. He's pretty.
Hunter Pants!
No, he's pretty vocal. Pretty social media active.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck
But-
Norris. Freaking Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris was Barry Bonds, wasn't
Bud
he?
Norris.
Bud Norris.
Bud Norris.
No, not Bud Norris.
First big league
All right,
hit.
we'll do one fan question, and then we'll go back to, and we can actually wrap up the segment with this just to put a bow on it, as we got a question from John. Said, are the Yankees going to get Bellinger? Do you think the Yankees
Yes,
will
I think they
land
will.
Cody? I do too. I think they're just
there's
battling
too much,
over
I think
money.
there's too much pressure. They'll go back and forth on money, and eventually they'll cave and take them.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Kratz?
Yes, I agree. I think they're going to throw in a little Nico, though. I think there's going to be something else in there that'll make it smarter.
Why would they throw? Where's Nico Horner going to play for the Yankees, though? Third base?
Second base.
Were they going to keep Jazz at third?
In that case, yeah. But I don't think Nico's getting traded.
I don't think Nico's going anywhere.
I don't.
I just don't think they're going to eat all 30 whatever million of his contract.
Depends on
But then
what
they're
the
taking
Yankees
on
send
even
back.
more
though.
if Nico's coming through. I think the Cubs will eat some of the contract, and then the Yankees will give back a prospect. And there's your deal. Done. All right, let's get to our next guest, Jon Becker from Fangraphs, joining us right now. John, great to have you on. How you doing?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing really well. So let's start here. So can you explain, the work that you do in the off season to help everybody's brains
Wait, is he the guy
comprehend
that,
what?
John, are you the guy that does like this guy is valued at this much money and he got traded for these three guys that are worth this much money? Is that you?
I'm not the guy who formally does that, but that is what my brain does much of the offseason.
So every time, everyone is a vast overpay. It's always a vast overpay. I love it. Every team is a vast overpay.
Well, John doesn't say that.
Well, no, but the guy who does the formula does that.
Well, John, tell us about the free agent matrix that you put together and point out some highlights right now for us.
So I think that even if nobody looked at it and if I didn't publicize it, this is just how I would organize my brain throughout the course of the offseason. So I'm sure you guys will put a link in the description or tweet it out, but there is a bunch of color coding and deals that happen up at the top, and basically all of the colors mean different things, and sorry to any colorblind viewers, but this is just how I organize all of my thoughts throughout the off season. And as people report what is going on, it's basically a good way to keep a pulse on who has signed who has room for so-and-so, who doesn't have enough money to sign so-and-so, who's close to a deal with so-and-so, and then what are all the totals are all the way at the bottom if you scroll all the way down. So yeah, this is something that I've been doing for, I think this is the 6th off season now, and it's just been picking up more and more attention every year. But it's something that I did basically just to organize my own thoughts and then put out there in case anyone else needed help organizing their thoughts.
I mean, that looks like the driving test I took today when I had to go get a new license.
Oh, yeah.
Just crap everywhere, the colors and stuff. I'm like, wait, what?
It's that complicated that
It wasn't near that
state's putting
complicated, but
together?
that was a lot to look at. I'm gonna have to spend the next hour or two on that just to figure out what
I think
it
it's
means.
beautiful because I love the color coded action.
I mean, it's color coded. There's no doubt. There's a lot
Yeah.
of colors.
All right, so let's start with at the top, John. The Dodgers win the World Series. How do you factor in the deferral action that they're bringing to the table? Because obviously that's something that's been around the game. Yes, shocker for fans that haven't been paying attention. The Nats have been doing that for many years. Other teams have been doing that as well. But thoughts on the deferral process and how that factors into your matrix?
Yeah, I mean, I think more teams should do it. I think that it's sort of a good double-edged sword where Blake Snell and Scott Boras can say that he signed a $182 million contract, even if in present value it's more like, I think, $160 million that is more in line with what people thought he would get. Whereas the Dodgers, on the other hand, get to spread that money out over longer, which is a good thing for them when they, I assume, anticipate that current ownership will be ownership for a long time. And that is a great perk of having stable ownership, is you can be more comfortable doing deferred contracts. If you have all of the money that's allocated for 15 years from now on the books when you sell the team, even though that money has to go into escrow within, I think, 2 years of the contract year, that can be a little bit more complicated with transacting a team. And obviously there's the cash flow consideration of, oh, well, we do have to put all this money away, even if we're not paying it out until 2042. If the contract year is 2026, we still have to put it away by 2028. And for a rich owner like Guggenheim Baseball Partners, who own the Dodgers, that is not a big deal. For some of the less cash liquid owners who don't like giving out big contracts in the first place, the idea of, oh, we have to put this money away relatively soon, and also we're going to be writing checks with that money 15 years from now, is understandably not very appealing. But I think it's something that teams should be more willing to do if they really want a certain player and want to be able to say that they signed a player for more money, but also it's sort of less money as far as the luxury tax calculation is concerned.
All right, let me ask you about the Minnesota Twins, because this is an interesting team in my mind, John, that has essentially the team up for sale, potential bidders in these Phoenix Suns owners who have tons of money. So Twins fans desperately want to know where they're at now and how things might change, because I think you probably have seen the math better than I have. I can remember when they talked the city into giving them a bunch of money for the new ballpark. They said, we need this to keep up with the modern times of having a better payroll and being more competitive. And then they obviously just punched the city in the face and they put the team up for sale. And I don't think they've really moved up the ranks in baseball in their spending.
Yeah, they really haven't. And, every year that they keep their payroll roughly the same, their payroll is essentially going down when you factor in inflation. And this offseason is one where they're saying they want to stay in the same $130 million range that they were in the 2024 season. So with their payroll at $136 million right now, it's either A, you do almost nothing, or you stretch payroll a little bit, or you sort of get slightly cheaper and maybe slightly worse by trading away guys like Christian Vasquez, Chris Paddock. And, with all of the teams that are upstart in the AL Central, it is not a cakewalk of a division anymore like it was the last few times the Twins won that division, where, yeah, you can have a middling payroll and win the division year over year. And obviously a higher payroll doesn't guarantee anything, but that is a team that has pretty obvious needs that right now they're looking to just sit on their hands and run roughly the same payroll. And that is certainly a team that if they got new ownership and could inject some more money in, like we're seeing the Orioles do with David Rubenstein so far in his ownership, that is a team that could be in really, really good shape for years to come really quickly after ownership. Whereas right now, if the Pohlads aren't able to sell relatively soon, or if they change their mind like Artie Moreno did, it's really tough to see a path for them contending consistently over the next decade or so if they're not willing to spend more money, because teams will just keep spending more if they stay stagnant.
Okay, well, hit the Orioles. You just talked about the Orioles because there's plenty of Baltimore fans that are like, hey, like this offseason's kind of going here. We got a new ownership. What's coming down the pipe here?
I mean, the fact that they gave Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez $58 million in total after not signing a single multi-year free agent in Michael Elias's first 4 years is GM, I think should be a really good sign for Orioles fans. I think that those moves were both pretty interesting to me because they sort of just added to the embarrassment of riches that offense had, 2-game series against the Royals notwithstanding. But pitching is obviously something that they really need. Will David Rubenstein get a little impatient and say, I know that it's not super analytically savvy or, in Mike Elias's playbook to give an 8-year, $250 million contract to Corbin Burnes, but I really want him back and we need an ace level pitcher to go with all of these good hitters that we have. So do I think that that's necessarily what's next down the pipe in a big way? Not necessarily. They might go a little smaller for Flaherty or Manaea, or even smaller for, like a Lance Lynn type, just to provide some stability. But it's clear to me that they need more pitching, and whether that comes from spending a lot of money, spending a little money, or trading some of their excess hitting for an interesting pitcher from Seattle, for example, they've got a lot of options there.
John, what about Oakland? Oh, sorry. The ATHs, the Athletics. Okay, we're not allowed to call them that anymore. What about the Athletics? I mean, they're spending some money here and there. Miraculously, they have to spend money, and now they are spending money. It's weird. They found all this money all of a sudden. But what's next for them? They brought in Severino. They traded for Springs. Do you see them being a player for any of these big guys, or are they more middle of the pack trying to add pieces here and there?
I think they should try to be players. The hard thing, and I think what we've seen with them doing the Springs trade, for example, and supposedly trying for Alec Boehm, is that it's really hard to convince people to sign a long-term deal to play in a minor league ballpark. For all the criticism the Coliseum got, was still a major league ballpark that was up to major league specs. It sounds like the park in Sacramento is going to be undergoing pretty constant changes as an effort to get it somewhat near that level. But it's still tough to say, hey, do you want to play 2-3 years in Sacramento while all of your friends who are also free agents are signing to play in really nice places? And I think that's why they're looking at trades. They do still have about $40 million to spend before they're at that $105 million target that Ken Rosenthal has written about to sort of get the union off their back with regards to revenue sharing. But I think it's going to be really tough to spend that $40 million entirely or even mostly in free agency, because you cannot, this isn't like a video game where you can just turn the slider towards bigger and bigger contracts and just hope that someone signs with you. So they've got limits. Players obviously have their own preferences. So I think that they might still continue to look at trades, maybe even just take on some contracts that other teams are looking to get rid of to maybe buy some prospects, so to speak, and also add to their payroll in a somewhat artificial way, even if it's for guys who they don't anticipate being huge contributors next year.
Yeah, I hope it makes the AL West more interesting here with another team, joining that Rangers, Astros, Mariners competitiveness that we've had recently in that division. Jon, thank you so much for the time, man. Great to catch up. Good to see you. And everyone check out Jon's work over at Fangraphs, and we'll post some of these clips, of course, along with the beautifully colored.
Yeah, we got to post that
free
thing
agent
so I can
matrix.
dig into that.
Yes.
Thank you
the
guys
hot
so much
crazy.
for having me.
It's like the hot crazy matrix.
That's right. That's right. Hot corner time. Another note from Ken Rosenthal's notebook over the weekend. And of course, Ken spoke today on Fair Territory. So go check that show out after this one. And also, we will talk to Ken later this week. He said the Mariners would trade Luis Castillo if it makes the team better. He does have a full no trade clause, by the way, so he can dictate where he goes. But that the Mariners aren't just looking to dump the money and get some prospects back. It would have to be a deal that kicks up their major league team, which I would assume would mean them getting some type of bat because they can't afford to get the free agent bats to make their team better. So the concern he did write about as well is the drop-off after the top 5 in the rotation, and that's the part that stands out to me. After that top 5, in terms of guys that are going to give major impact, Emerson Hancock obviously is still early on in his career, should be better. Logan Evans should be up with the big league club at some point this season, but that's still 7 guys I'm mentioning. The top 5 has been the best in baseball for the last couple of years, but I just get worried. I mean, some teams need 10 to 12. So if you're trading a guy away, this is what Seattle technically has to do, Kratz, because, for example, Ken in his notes kind of shot down the Christian Walker conversation. It's kind of like, yeah, I think other teams are probably going to give a guy like that more money. And it is still tough to talk hitters into signing there right now.
So then this is the perfect way. Yes, everybody would love to have 7 or 8 starting pitchers. That depth would be huge. Guys that can flex between the bullpen and the rotation. They don't have it. And they've created that problem because they're not willing to dip into the Christian Walker market. So if you can get that kind of potential power, because that's what you're looking for, potential bat, a straight up play for Luis Castillo. I mean, tell me who says no if the Orioles give one of their big league ready bats. If the Red Sox give Casas. I'm just saying for Luis Castillo, you take on the money because clearly they want to dump some of the money, but they also want to upgrade.
It would take more than that, though. It would take a couple.
To get Castillo?
Yeah, I feel like it would.
I think the Mariners would love to get a player who is pre-arb, who can be an impactful big
That's what I'm
league
saying,
hitter.
but it would take more than one. You're
Right.
giving up a guy that's proven a big league level, can
I don't
pitch,
think it takes
the ball
much
every
more.
fifth day.
If they're looking to dump the money.
It would take Casas and someone else.
Yeah. Maybe some
A minor
like
leaguer.
David Hamilton?
I don't know,
Or
a minor leaguer. I'm
minor
not saying
leaguer?
maybe not one of the top 3, but it would take a Hierstead and another guy. I don't
They're
know.
not doing here Kerstead and Mayo for Castillo.
No.
I'm not saying the top guys. I'm saying it would
Yeah.
take more than one. It would take a Casas and the 7th prospect or something like that.
Hold up. So you wouldn't do if you're the Mariners, okay? Let's say you're Dipoto and the owner's like, you get to spend no extra money this year. We actually would like you to trim a little. Good luck. You wouldn't do Castillo for Casas straight up or Castillo for Kobe Mayo straight up?
I need
I think he would.
I need a little throw in.
You need something else? What about and Castillo for Bohm? I mean, different upside, but
Bohm's not cheap.
he's cheaper than Castillo though. That
Oh,
Jerry has
he's
talked
ours.
about
What are-
balancing.
He's Mariners cheap. Boom, I
Yeah,
think
he's
will
like
make
8
like
mil.
yeah, I was gonna say like 7.5, something like that.
Yeah, well, they're not safe.
Castillo's 20
I
something.
know, but that's I
I agree.
that's
I
not
agree.
happening.
I think the
If
pre
you go Bohm, you definitely have to throw in something else.
right, but I think they're looking for a guy that's going to cost them sub a mil. That's going to be a 3-4 plus win player.
The fortunate part for the Mariners is they're not trying to fill one of the premium positions. They're not trying like, oh, we're short at shortstop, center field, catcher. So there is a chance that you can go into organizations and say, I do want that Tristan Casas type. I do want that Heston Kjerstad type. I do want Kobe Mayo type because we're good right up the middle. We are awesome on the mound. And I think that value's there. I think the Mariners should do it, but we'll see.
I want to point out Ryan Divish the other day. He said, it is unfortunate and depressing for fans that the Mariners have reached a point where a move like this seems necessary due to lack of resources invested into the MLB team. You build this outstanding rotation, then have to consider breaking it up to get other needed pieces instead of just investing more and getting better by addition without subtraction. I could see them trading Castillo, the offense getting a little bit better, and then them going, we lost one or two of our starters for now due to injury, and all of a sudden we feel thin. And it's like, you know what? They could use Luis Castillo because the free agent market has all of their solutions. They have to operate like a mid to low tier market.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks for them.
Would Sasaki go there? If they trade Castillo, if they get Sasaki, would they trade Castillo? Then it would make a lot.
I think Sasaki is in play for them. Sure. I still think he's a Dodger, but I know we're going through the motions in this whole game. And I think second place is San Diego and everyone else is pretty far behind, but sure, I guess he would go there. That team could be, for me, it's probably number 4. So I would
LA,
say
San Diego, then who?
I think the Yankees. I think if he is looking into the West Coast, those
White
two
Sox
teams are
are
more
in that
likely.
list. White Sox, baby. White Sox, baby.
It's so funny that they even talked about him.
He listed him as one of the places. He listed him. He listed them.
No, his agent said it. His agent said
he met with them.
everybody-
He met with Chris Getz, and Chris Getz turned his thinking into the White Sox are going to be good.
Everybody but the Dodgers is who his agent said, like, there's no deal in place. There's no chance I would have ever done that. The White Sox are a prime location.
He checks all the lists. And Tadahito Iguchi is his manager in Japan, so he knows all about the White Sox.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be thrilled to lose 100-something games.
No,
for
they
the
wouldn't
next
lose that
2-3
many if they
years.
had Sasaki.
They'd lose 199, whatever. No chance.
They
Let's
play
get to a
good
team that's
defense,
got
too.
some good news. I want to get to this news next. The Twins do have bidders, apparently. Dan Hayes put out a nice report about Matt Ishbia and brother Justin. They're the owners of the Phoenix Suns, and
Why don't they buy the Diamondbacks?
they're not for sale.
Not for sale.
Everything's
they're
for
looking
sale.
into
$1 million
the
man,
Minnesota
Ted
Twins.
DiBiase.
That's
Everyone
true.
has a price, Scott.
Everyone does have a price, but I guess their price is not large enough for Arizona and Ken Kendrick, who wants to keep the team. But the Twins do not want to keep their ball club, as in the Pohlads. So this would be, in my mind, without knowing a ton about them, a dream scenario for Twins fans. You want an ownership group to come in and say, we are not nickel and diming. It does not matter. We are not going to freak out if we can't take, $50 million out of profit each year and we can only take 30 or 20 or even 0, right? Let's just invest it back into the big league club. I think this is the dream. You want more humans like this entering our sport. It makes our sport more exciting. It makes our fan bases happier. So I know the Twins fans are rooting hard for this one. Again, I don't know a ton about them, but from the 2 articles I read, I'm like, whew, Joe Pohlad's a 1 or a 2, and these guys are probably an 8 or a 9 on the ownership likability scale. So sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
I would
They
love
got
to see
dough.
him. I would love to see a NBA owner come into baseball and see these meetings and see like, what? Why are you guys doing this? Why do you what?
There
I
is
would
one.
love
His
to
name's
see it.
Jerry Reinsdorf.
No, I know, but
I mean, current-
His name's Jerry Reinsdorf.
currently, like he's not a current owner. He is like
What do you
I
mean he's
know
not
he
a current
owns-
owner?
Sorry.
He owns the Bulls and the White Sox.
He is a
That's about as current as you get.
He is completely disconnected. I'm saying somebody who's like fresh in the scene in the NBA, and now he's like, whoa, we can do this in baseball too. This would be awesome. We could do this. We could do that. And you get in
You
there.
want to know
and
why
it's
the
like,
owners love the NBA?
forward.
You want to know why the owners love the
I know.
NBA?
Pick me.
Why, Scott?
Salary cap.
Yes, that's why they all want to be in the NBA, because there is a salary cap. 100%. Ask any NBA owner. They're like, I know exactly what my salary is going to be. And I know exactly how much I make, and it does not.
Isn't
They
there
do
like
not concur
franchise
with each
stuff and isn't there like franchise like you can
but
max
still,
out stuff
They
and
have,
then that
they have a
doesn't
much
count?
better idea. It's much cleaner.
Yeah, but what Susan Slusser
So
said
they really
earlier
make
on
a
her
lot of
show-
money.
Yeah,
Oh,
is-
they make so much
but
money.
did you hear what Susan said earlier on her show? Another prime example of why we'll never have that. Because the Giants make bank off all of these assets they have around the ballpark. And you could say, well, that's their assets. That's fine. But it's tied into baseball. So
I told you the
It won't
story
work.
when I played for the Giants. Before they had even sold a ticket or done any parking or anything, through the signage and just the stuff that in the advertisements they had already signed, they had already paid for the year's salary for the team.
Whew.
And that didn't count concessions, parking, any of that. It was already all paid for. But they're all separate entities.
yes.
So on their books, they're like, oh, we're losing money or we're breaking even. But, San Francisco Giants Inc. owns the team. San Francisco Giants Parking owns the parking, right? So it was all separate. So they were like, oh, we're losing here, but we're crushing it over here.
And that's
And
why
that was
we'll
what
never
year?
have a cap.
And that was what year?
2004.
Yeah. And then they went on and won all those championships. So
Yeah.
all that stuff just continued to go up. That is a factory. I love that Susan said that earlier.
Yeah, exactly, which is great for them. Good for them. Business is thriving out there. All right, we'll step aside. And actually on the San Francisco Giants front, we're going to take a look back to who many call the best they've ever seen on the field. All right, let's do this. We are going to talk about how good Barry Bonds was, and we're going to start with a guy that played with him. You talk about him, I would say, every month or so on the show, his name comes up, and
Not
you actually
enough.
got to experience a season next to him.
Listen, Chipper, we had Chipper on earlier. What did Chipper say? Who was the best player he saw?
He didn't hesitate.
Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say I played with and against. Obviously, I played for almost 20 years, and I got Cal Ripken at the end of his career, and I got some of those older guys. I mean, Paul Molitor I got to play with, and a lot of Hall of Fame guys that were some of the best, right? Pitchers included, right? And then I went all the way to 2016, where I got to play with like a Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson. I saw Cunha when he was coming up, right? Ozzie Albies was a teammate of mine. So I've got to see both ends of the spectrum. Played against Harper. I played against Miguel Cabrera in the same division the year he won the Triple Crown in 2012. I played with Barry Bonds for 1 year, 2004. If you don't know the 2004 year, go look it up. And I know the first thing people are going to say is he was on stuff. I don't care what. I don't give a fuck what he was on, okay? He was the best offensive player. Now, defensively this time, he was older and he still make the plays, and he didn't have a great arm, but he still stole a base. If he got on first and needed to steal second, he could do it every time. It was unbelievable. It's the only guy, and we told this story the other day when we had Eric Gagne on here too. I went to Japan with Barry. First time I met Barry. Went to Japan with him in 2002. And we had Barry Bonds, Jason Giambi, Ichiro was on that team, Derek Lee, Jimmy Rollins. The list was crazy. Eric Chavez. I mean, we had Bernie Williams. I mean, we had a freaking Pat Burrell. We had a freaking stud team. Okay. Barry Bonds would go over there, and Pat Burrell said this to me, and I'll never forget it. They would very rarely throw Barry a strike, even over in Japan, right? And he didn't hit a home run one time. And Pat Burrell came back and looked at me and goes, I can't believe Barry Bonds didn't hit a home run. He goes, he's the only guy I've ever been in a ballpark with where he didn't hit a home run, and I was surprised that he got a pitch to hit. It was that great. I remember he had an at-bat in Japan. This is when I was like, this dude's on a different planet. Guy threw him a split. Like, it was split. And he swung and missed at it. He looked at the pitcher, and he went like this. He went. And the next pitch, he threw it higher and he freaking hit it 900 feet. It was a joke for this guy. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, and I can't say it enough. Like, offensively, the year I saw what he did is the best year. Look up the numbers. He had like a 700 on base, 650 on base. His OPS was well over 1,000, like 1,200 something.
14.
Yeah, 1,400. I mean, it was so crazy you can't even think about it. He was so much better. And I know, listen, Dana, they're going to say he was on stuff. I don't care. It was so much better. And I remember playing against him, pitching to him. He hit a ball, I'll never forget, off Joe Mays. We were playing when I was in Minnesota. We went over there. And I think it was 2003, so the year after I went to Japan. And Joe Mays got him out on like a slow curveball, I think it was. And the next at bat, we tried it again, and he hit a ball that hit the right field wall in San Francisco, and I swear the wall moved 7 feet back. And there's still probably a dent in the wall. It was and we talked about the Gagne at bat, the other day we had Gagne. Like, words don't even describe how good Barry Bonds was.
Well, let's show some stats then to help tell the story of how good Barry was. He was a cyborg. He was a cheat code. He was the greatest stats-wise player of all time. By far. Greatest hitter of all time. 14-time All-Star, 7-time MVP, 7 MVPs, 22 seasons. There's the WAR number. The batting average slightly under 300 for the career, 762 home runs. I like that we have the headshot of him from Pittsburgh because there was a whole version of Barry then. Then you got the San Francisco version. Career 444 on-base percentage, just shy of 3,000 hits, 8 Gold Glove awards, 514 stolen bases, the 73 homer season in 2001. And again, we're not stupid. We know the storylines here, but we're talking about the production. Trust me, we've gotten plenty over PED talks on this show. We don't hold back, but there's the sexy baseball reference page.
Here's the story. Shohei Ohtani's season last year, people consider great. It was the 11th greatest Barry Bonds season of his career. Think about that. Like, how great was Shohei Ohtani last year? And that was the 11th greatest season Barry Bonds ever had. 11th. So he had 11 better seasons or 10 better seasons than the one Shohei just had. And we're talking about that being an all-time season. Barry had 10 or 11 better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't do it justice to look at just numbers unless you were there every day. And I've told this story on here before. 2004, we go into Houston. We open in Houston. All right, we get Clemens, Pettit, Oswald first 3 days. Right, Oswald opening day is shoving. Right, we get to like the 8th inning. And we asked Clemens the story on here, and he said, "Man, Oswald shouldn't have thrown that pitch. He threw him a pitch. He hit a home run. We won the game like 2-1. Other than that, we were doing nothing off of him." Right.
Mm-hmm.
Barry comes in the clubhouse, and that was 659 in his career. We had 5 more games on the road. He goes, "I will not hit a home run until we get back to San Francisco. I want to tie Willie at home." And I looked at JT Snow, and JT Snow goes, "Watch what he's about to do the next 5 games." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "He won't hit a home run, but he will hit missiles everywhere." For 5 games, he didn't hit a home run. He just went, double, two. We get back home. He goes, "All right, today's the day I tie Willie." Boom, homer. Next day, today's the day I pass the torch. Willie passes me the torch. Homer. Boom, homer. It was like nothing I had ever seen in my life.
What was he doing for those 5 games?
Just getting hits. Getting hits.
But he wasn't taking home run swings?
Dude, listen, I don't know. I wasn't that good. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Maybe Kratz was that good where he'd be like, "This is a home run swing." He just was like, "I'm just going to get hits."
Did you ever go up there and say, "Okay, I'm not going to give my A swing, my home run swing right now"?
No.
I mean, I guess some guys did it where they would like, obviously.
Well, no, there's times you're just like trying to flick the
change
ball.
your approach.
But that's different.
But he wasn't doing that.
No,
he was hitting missiles, but missiles that wouldn't go over the wall.
Yeah.
He could plan it out that way.
It was unbelievable. Dude, this guy, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I saw him do things that I can't even explain.
AJ lived it. I just watch it. I've pulled up his baseball reference. The bold on his baseball reference is crazy. Any kind of bold stat, any highlighted stat is career, like a baseball history. His numbers are ridiculous. But what even demeans those numbers, which is never talked about, because we talk about it all the time now, about how like Jorge Soler signed it to play in San Francisco. It's going to diminish his numbers. This man played in San Francisco. He was bashing balls. He ruined hitting balls into the bay for other people. Like, people thought it was just going to happen often. You go to that place, it is a game changer. There's no place in the big leagues by far that is tougher to hit a home run out of. That man was hitting them everywhere. So that just exemplifies what he did.
Nobody's put a 30-homer season together still. Isn't that the
No.
stat?
Mm-mm.
Since Bonds did
That's
it?
him. 2004. I think it was 2004. There was the one where he tied the record right there. That was off Matt Kinney. I was there. I was like, this is a joke. That was the one off Gagne after the epic at bat he had. Listen.
People don't do it.
Jake Peavy, that was 700th homer. I got to see that. Oppo Taco on a breaking ball.
At night.
I mean, yeah. Take that. I don't know who the lefty was.
Halsley.
Didn't matter. Bung Hung Kim. Yep, got him.
Young Kim for a little bushes. And look where it goes, too. That's halfway up the bleachers.
I mean, Oppo at Petco back when the ball didn't go anywhere off Hensley. I mean,
that was the record breaker right there.
Yeah. It was just listen, I've never been in awe of playing with a dude in my life until I played with that guy. And then it was
and
just
don't give me this. Don't give me the steroid stuff either, people. Like
there's a lot of other guys that were on steroids too. There was a lot of other dudes that were on steroids.
I'm aware, but
they weren't doing that.
To many people, they go, well, if you're on the right cycle and the right plan, you can go from out of the bigs, like minor league fringe, to getting in. You can go from good to, check out some players that had no homers and then had a 50-homer season in their career. There's a couple. And then you can go from maybe best of all time already to what the... That's what you see. It's a big impact. There were some guys during that era.
I know it was a big impact, but I'm just saying there was a lot of other guys doing stuff.
I agree,
too.
but you know a couple of the names where you look and you're like, this dude hit 52 home runs this one season.
I know.
You know the people I'm talking about. And you're like, how the hell did that person put that together? We're not holding back here. It just, trust me, I'm super anti-PED. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this was stupid. This was video game bonanza every night from him.
You couldn't do this in BP. Big leaguers couldn't do this in BP at the rate that he was doing it in big league games against big league pitchers.
No. Oh, by the way, similarities. I love this. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to read this? So some will listen
Willie
on the pod
Mays,
later.
Hank Aaron,
Is there similarity
Frank
scores
Robinson,
on
A-Rod,
Baseball Reference?
Pujols,
The closest has
Griffey.
to be Willie Mays. If you're going to have to compare somebody, in my opinion, it's Willie Mays' numbers.
I got into an argument the other day with Griffey about this, and it was so fun. We don't have enough time.
No, I want to know.
I'm like, listen, Griffey was unbelievable. I mean, I played with and against Griff for a long time, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Griff, listen, you weren't as good as Barry hitting, and he was just fired up.
Really?
He's like, but I could play center field. I'm like, I don't care. It was great. And I was like, great. And I'm like, great, Griff, I love you. I love you to death. But dude, it wasn't close.
But he feels competitive about it.
Oh, he's super competitive.
I mean, Kratz
the
other segment said he felt like he was the best player in the league. So if Griffey's up there saying I felt like I was the best and I was just as good as Barry, then I at least understand where he's coming from. He is one of the best players.
He was. Griff was unbelievable.
He's not Barry status.
But he wasn't because it was also the threat.
Yeah.
Right? Of like, oh my God, when is Barry up? Because we have to make sure there's nobody on base or we can walk him or otherwise it's a homer. I mean, I have so many Barry. I mean,
yeah.
Barry Bonds that were playing Colorado. They weren't very good. And what was the loud guy's name that was the manager there forever? Turned red all the time, yelled at everybody.
Clint Hurdle.
Clint Hurdle.
Oh yeah.
He would, he loved to talk a lot, right? So we're there. We go to Colorado. First game, he pitches to Barry in a big situation, and Barry hits a ball off the. I mean, he didn't go out. It hit the yellow line at the top of the right field corner, and I swear it registered on the Richter scale when it hit the wall. And whatever, we ended up winning the game because of that hit. And from that moment on, I swear the rest of the year, Clint Hurdle was like,
that's
I don't know if he got another at bat against Colorado the rest of the year. I mean, it was like, nope, put him on every at bat.
I mean, he was the algorithm hack for the analytics departments that say don't intentionally walk most dudes.
You had to.
Yeah.
AJ was hitting
I'm
behind
saying
him.
in
Come on,
weird
man.
That's
situations.
true. I was for a while, and then they figured out that wasn't a good answer. They
Anyway,
put Edgardo Alfonso there because they were like, "You'll hit behind him." But it sucked for me because every time you come up, especially in San Francisco, if you didn't get a hit, dude, you were the enemy. Like if you didn't get a hit as hitting behind Barry Bonds, you were the enemy. Oh, they're walking him to get to you. You suck.
it's a pressurized situation.
Oh man, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And if you hit a ground ball, my speed, he wasn't taking the dude out a second.
No.
No, it was an auto double play.
Yes.
Auto DP.
You got to get a little lift on that thing.
Auto
Don't worry
DP.
about shooting it past the infield
No.
in that case.
No,
Yeah.
auto DP.
That's good. So we'll do more of these if you like them, but also if you're watching this after the fact, as we did it live, just drop a little comment. Let us know your thoughts on Barry and what we're talking about here. Looking back at past players, we got plenty of stories for you. All right, we'll swing right back on FT. Let's check out the Houston Astros from last year, heading into the season at a 92.5 win total to play with on the over-under. And it did not hit on the over, 88 wins for Houston. Now, there's an easy blame game here. Brutal start. Brutal start. And that's why you play 162. The start doesn't get wiped away. I mean, that start was so bad, it almost prevented them from making the playoffs. Felt like they were digging out of a hole for a good chunk of the season. So anyway, that number.
Well, they started 0-4. Don't forget, the Yankees swept them.
Yeah, they did. That's right. And that number is going to be lower, Kratz, heading into next year. My guess is we're playing more. I mean, we'll see what they do, but my guess is they're going to be playing more around the 90-ish range.
I
I
was gonna
mean,
say 89,
you're subtracting for
89
those
and a half.
algorithms a lot of wins from Kyle Tucker.
I was going to say 89.5.
Okay.
The division is tough with the fact that they're not as dominant. So it's tough to say, do you think the Astros can win 9? If you can't say they're going to win 93 games, I feel like I'm not touching this. Because they're going to win. They're going to win.
Yeah, and for me, if it starts to get into the high 80s, I'm probably banging an over. I mean,
It's going to be probably 88, I bet, this year.
yeah, and I would
No
take
Justin
the over there.
Verlander, right? I mean, unless he comes back.
Yeah, probably gone. But their pitching's still good.
Yeah,
And
but
also,
it's not-
I think
but
they'll-
I think they also think the Rangers will take a step forward.
Sure. But
Think
nobody
the Jays might
yeah,
take a
will
step
take a step
forward.
forward.
If they bring
Huh?
Bregman back, does it change?
I think it's still around
Because-
89.
Because they didn't
It was
have
92
Tucker.
with all those guys.
They didn't have a lot of Tucker all year. So they did it without Tucker. And he was hot at the beginning of the year when they stunk.
I think it's still 88 to 89.
I agree with you. I think it'll be, in that range, no more than 90, and I'm taking the over. I think they'll
Okay.
get to like 93 or 4 wins. Nice young staff. I think the bullpen will be a little bit better. I think they'll, even if they just have an okay start, it's better than an atrocious start like they had. Or were they like 8-16? Something really
Mhm.
bad that
It
they
was not
started
good.
with. I'm not going to look up the number right now. But anyway, let us know what you think about Houston heading into next season. Obviously, they still have work to do. For the first bet offer at BetMGM, up to $1,500 back if you sign up new. In bonus bets if you don't win that first bet. If you win the first bet, good for you. If not, place your first wager, and that's after you already signed up and deposited at least $10 into your new account. You get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses, depending on how much you place. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. A good one from Army in the chat. Can we get one of those on AJ's former teammate Burley, but make it a fast segment in honor of him? That's good. I like that. Yeah, we can get a White Sox guy. Who would be the one? Because we'll do another one with you this week. Who would be the one that you're either most excited to talk
Jermaine
about,
Dye.
like another former teammate?
No, I was going to say Konerko. Look at Konerko's stats.
That's a good one.
Look at his numbers, and then the fact that he didn't get more Hall of Fame love is pretty amazing.
Yep.
Okay.
Burley's still on the Hall of Fame ballot, and everyone talks about Burley, and I love Mark Burley. But look at Konerko.
He's the underrated guy.
For me, yeah. I mean, Jermaine Dye to me was a great player. He's
Yeah.
not on that level of like smaller. He didn't play as long and didn't put up as many numbers. But look at Konerko, 400 plus homers. I mean, start digging into his numbers. More homers than a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame, more RBIs, more doubles than a lot of guys in the Hall. Like, well, if we do that one, I think you'd be surprised.
All right, we'll cue it up. Got 1 minute to go. Dodgers Territory is going to be on the Dodgers Territory YouTube channel, but if you're here, we can take you right over to it, so you don't have to touch your screen. Also, after that, I'll be back on Baseball America Hot Sheet, JJ Cooper and friends. We'll talk about all the trade returns in these last, week and a half of moves. So prospect-wise, what did each team get? What do they think about him? Cam Smith, we'll have a good conversation about the former FSU star and what he'll bring to the Houston Astros farm system and when he could get called up. Could he get called up this year? Or does he need another year of seasoning? Anyway, Freddie Freeman's World Series walk-off Grand Slam baseball sold for $1.56 million. Third most expensive baseball ever sold behind Ohtani's 50-50 ball, which sold for $4.4 million, and McGuire's 70th home run, which sold for $3 million in 1999. This surpassed Aaron Judge's 62nd home run.
Oh, that's the same thought I had.
Oh man, you stole Kratz's dad joke, and he was gonna burn it too.
That's the last pitch Nestor threw as a Yankee, by the way.
Did he not pitch again in that?
Nope.
He didn't?
Nope.
I hope Nestor was the one bidding it up, and it was just one other dude, and Nestor was just over there, bid. That'd be such a Nestor flex.
Oof, that's tough. He didn't appear in one other game?
No.
That
was the last pitch he ever threw.
When Nestor comes on here, I want to definitely ask him if he would sign that ball after the guy that bought it, or the person who bought it. I'm not saying it was a guy.
He would.
Tell Nestor to get his ass on the show. We haven't had him. We've been around for 2 years.
Right.
Tomorrow, by the way, we have Kyle Teal, who was just the big prize
The new
of
prospect?
the Chicago White Sox ball for crochet. Ken will be on. Will Benson, Reds player who
Good interview. Had him last year.
Yeah, really good interview. Looking for a bounce back. Farhan Zaidi on Wednesday. Enjoy Hot Sheet.
By the way,
Territory.
you know how we'll get Nestor on? Vassallo. He's on the Brewers now. We'll be in touch with Vassallo.
PR superstar on the Brewers. See you tomorrow.